stage a little bit, just this idea that everyone, like, where does this assumption come from that, like, the point of making your art is to, like, make it, whatever that means, like being super famous or being super rich. And I don't think that, like, I mean, that would be great, you know, sign me up for that. But, but I mean, all I really want is to be able to, like, sustain myself and do the work that I want to do. And I don't see that necessarily as more of a possibility with a lot of the models that exist on the internet. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, when I was reacting in a way to some sort of like web guru saying like, now that we have the internet, it's your fault if you don't make it. It's a meritocracy online. So I do like waste a lot of words just demolishing the idea that it's a meritocracy in a digital space and all the different ways I can do that. But I think it's a question, like one interesting thing to think about is just the assumption that scale is always good, which is another way of saying that, you know, celebrity or fame is always good, right? And so if you make a website, it can reach the entire world, or, you know, you have a concept, it can spread over the entire globe. And I think challenging that idea of that scale should always be big, I think it's something important to do right now. Like thinking that it's okay to make things that are smaller, that are local, to try to make a career that is like at the middle. And that, to me, echoes the problem of our entire economy, which is like one of bifurcation of growing inequality, of these incredibly rich people and, you know, incredible poverty. And we see it, you know, in the arts with starving artists versus like art stars. And this polarizing is something that we see everywhere, and digital technology exacerbates it in lots of ways that I explore in depth and that I'm thinking about even more. So I think how to mitigate that. Chris Anderson had this idea of the long tail that was really popular for years and years. And I try to debunk that, and I instead take this phrase, the missing middle, from this political theorist who wrote a book called The Myth of Digital Democracy. I think the missing middle is really important, and trying to not just valorize that space, but figure out how to bolster it is important.
And that's such a recurring theme in all these discussions that we're having, is this constant idea that like the onus is on you. It's your fault that things are going wrong. It's your fault if you haven't made it. It's your fault. It's a critique that I have of the culture of recycling that we have in the USA. Is just like it's your responsibility to do all these things, and it is. It totally is. But why aren't we holding big business more accountable for all of these things, and why aren't we pointing to the infrastructure that's like so obviously flawed, rather than our own faults?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, it's a way broader cultural trend, which is that all responsibility is put on the individual. And we see that where, like, you know, going back to my work with Occupy the Rolling Jubilee, is that education is no longer a public good, it's individually debt financed. So you're investing in your education by taking out a loan, and then that's your risk, and so you have to pay it off. And you know, it causes you to have a sort of cost-benefit analysis of education, and we see that just the general stripping of benefits and security from all types of employment, not just creativity. I'm interested in the way the figure of the artist is invoked in all these other realms and kind of used to justify that. So I have some quotes where it's like, oh, you don't like working at the Apple store for $10 an hour?
I love that part.
You know, you're an artist, you work at the Apple store, it's not about the money. And so the ethos of the artist is really in demand in an economy where, you know, where employers don't want to pay your payroll taxes or give you any insurance or something like that. It should
be an honor to do this thing.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be so concerned with making money.
And so I want the good parts of being an artist to spread, the autonomy, the dignity, the non-alienation, the sense that you have, you know, control over your work. Those good aspects of being a creative person I'd like to see spread, and not the precarity and the insecurity, you know, which are really dominant in our society right now. So I think we're spreading the bad aspects of the creative lifestyle, not the good ones.
We're getting our card here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having